Okay, so let's assume that you've now downloaded GitHub successfully to your machine. What we need to do now is initialize that repository or bring that repository we created for your website onto your local machine. And the way to do that is you're first going to need to log into GitHub on your machine. And so if you click this little gear icon here, the settings one, hit options, and then whatever you used for your account, I'm just going to sign in here with that. So I was a random John Doe, and then with whatever password here, trying to remember what I used. I think that's it. We'll give it a try. Great, so I'm successfully logged in. And so now what we need to do is hit this plus button, and we already have the repository created because we made it through the web interface. So all I need to do now is clone it. If I want to create a brand new one, that's just going to create one that starts here on my machine. So to clone it, that means it's something that we've already created. So if we hit clone, you'll see this a randomjohndoe.github.io right here. Click on that and hit clone. And what it's going to do is it's going to ask you, where do you want that to happen? And generally speaking, what you'd like to do is put this onto your M drive. So make sure that it doesn't happen in the C drive, but happens on your M drive. And the reason I say that is that way it'll actually work regardless of which computer you're on. If you put it on the C drive, it's not going to work out if you go to a different machine and attempt to use it. So go to your M drive, hit OK, and what it's going to do is clone this a randomjohndoe.github.io. And what that means for us is that now if you go to this a randomjohndoe.github.io, if you right click on that and hit open in Explorer, what you can do, and I'll just show you here, is now I have this folder inside my M drive called a randomjohndoe.github.io, and it's got this README that we initialized before. So let's say that I wanted to create my index.html and put that in here. What I could do, and you could copy this index.html in here if you have it somewhere else already. I'll just create a new file, and I'll say, let's make ourselves a new text document here, and I'm just going to call it index.html. And say, yeah, that's fine, change that for me. And I'll just edit this thing very quickly. If my machine works very quickly, that is the question. I'm just going to open it up in Notepad++. And so what we should see is something, whoop, eventually. So we should have some file like this, where I've got my random John Doe. And I'm just going to quickly put something in here. So we'll open up HTML, though I forgot to do my doc type. So we need to say doc type HTML. Open up the HTML, which means, of course, we got to close it. And then open up the head, put a title in here, and we'll just say this is an example GitHub page. End the title, end the head, and I'll just put something in the body here real quick. So our body will simply open up and then close here, and let's just toss in a header, and I'll say h1 some example web page. Okay, and end the h1. Now, if I save that, and I'll just minimize this for a second. So if you save that, we've now got that saved in my index.html. And if you go back to this GitHub for a second, you'll note that it now shows uncommitted changes right here. So if I hit this show button here, it gives me all of this information. This is the stuff that I just added to the page. So I'm going to put a summary here and just say, oh, well, what did I do? I guess I added random index. And then I'm going to say commit to master. And what that means is just commit the file to actually be going up there. And you can see that my synchronization here says there's one thing to do. If I hit synchronize, it'll add that file to my GitHub repository. And what that does essentially is make it so that anyone in the world can see that repository or that index.html file when they check out my repository. And in this case, that's at randomjohndoe@github.io. Once you get to this point and there's no local changes, that means that what we've changed has already been successfully uploaded, so we're good to go. So if you were to actually go to a randomjohndoe.github.io, which we can do, if we did that, what you'd find, what you'd find is eventually, obviously I'm doing this right now and it hasn't had a chance to upload to the page yet because I just barely made this file, but once you've created it and this github.io file is working, it should happen pretty much instantaneously that your changes will appear here on the web.